Today, I want to speak about the European Defence Union, which has just been announced a couple of days back by the European Union chief, Ursula von der Leyen. The plan is basically for around 800 billion euro investment to boost up and rebuild Europe's defense facilities so that it can counteract the reduction in force that has been announced by US. Basically, Trump has said that it won't defend Europe anymore, especially for any of the countries which do not contribute to the NATO defense. US cannot be expected to support them. So now European Union is in a country. The announcement of the last few days, it's mainly done as a soap to support Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. But let's take it at its face value. How would this work? For any nation or for any organization to build up a defense force. Now, 800 billion euros is a significant amount, but it's not just about the money. It's about the industrial capacity, its production capacity. For the last 35 years, Europe has completely eroded its defense capabilities. It will take at least 10 years to build it back. Only then it can run the production. Even for Russia, which had the production capacity which had laid dormant for around 20 years since the end of Chechen War, the second Chechen War. It still took them 3 years to ramp up their production capabilities, which is now coming on stream and wreaking havoc on Ukraine. For Europe to rebuild everything it has lost since 1991, it's going to take at least 10 years. The main questions that has to come now right here is, how will this budget be utilized? Let's discuss that first. Now, we all know the stories of Eurofighter. Eurofighter was created as a consortium of European Union countries. And the whole idea was you had a budget, you had so many components to create. These components and the investments were distributed across different European countries on the basis that, okay, I need more funding. Not based on who is capable, not based on which organization is more capable of building a particular component. It's just pure random politicking that, okay, you have $50 billion to invest. I want that investment to come to my country so that more jobs are created in my country, not based on the quality of the product. It is the same logic that you see across the world. For example, Britain's 2.1 billion pound in aid, so-called, to Ukraine. It's basically so that 5,000 missiles can be manufactured and purchased from a UK company. That Ukraine does not have the luxury of spending that 2.1 billion pounds anywhere else. No, it has to buy it from a company in UK. It is the same thing that you see in US military industrial complex, where the US Navy might be creating new ships, not because the US Navy needs it, because the shipyard needs those ships to be manufactured so that the people in that state, they have the jobs. So it is that sort of a decision that has plagued Eurofighter program. And that is the same thing that's going to apply to this 800 billion euro investment also. How is that going to be spread out? Every region, every country part of UA will want its share of the pie. Otherwise, they can veto it. They'll say, no, if I don't get something, I'm going to veto it. So rather than a capitalistic approach of production for the most effective means, they're going to have a production by committee, which is basically socialism. And we are all seen in Kerala how brilliantly that works. Now, such a difference. Now, again, let's talk about how it might play out. France and Germany, they are the biggest contributors to this defense fund. They would naturally want more of this defense fund to be expended within their own countries. That is going to have some repercussions. Now, let's get back to the debt part of it. 800 billion pounds, which they're planning to spend, it's a debt that they're incurring on themselves. Do they have the ability to pay it off? Do they have the ability to incur that debt and handle it? Because already they're all undergoing severe financial recession. They're not in a good state. How is that going to impact their debt servicing ability? Again, you're investing on defense. There's no financial returns from it. It's like an insurance. You buy insurance in the hope that nothing happens. It's a deterrence factor. There's no returns. This 800 billion pounds, it won't have any returns, monetary returns. So how are you going to generate the debt to pay for it? It's a big question. Now, for this defense budget to work, they'll have to cut down on their social security programs. That is going to have a massive impact on the people of Europe. Especially, let's think about it. Where are you going to get the population to work as a workforce for these factories? The migrant population. And which are the countries which have the most migrant populations in Europe? France and Germany. And these are also nations which are under the threat of increasing right-wing nationalism. Do you think the Caucasian right-wing nationalists will be happy with most of these jobs going to migrants? Proportionally, the whites will also get jobs. But rather than the jobs that are coming to them, they'll be unhappy about the jobs going to the migrants. You're already seeing that. The right-wing politics is going to expand, which is going to have some disastrous effect. Now, the biggest supporter of this whole delinking between NATO, European Union, and US is Turkey. In NATO, as it stands today, after US, the biggest contributor of defense forces is Turkey. Excluding US, half of the military might of NATO is currently Turkey. Turkey has been struggling for long to become a member of European Union. Since 1987, Turkey has been applying to join the European Union, and they have already always been rejected. Now, Turkey knows it has the entire European Union as its hostage. Turkey has the military might currently to defend Europe. Turkey also has the technological strength and the manufacturing capacity to deliver weapons to Europe. So they're also going to get a significant chunk of this 800 billion euros. Now, let's assume what happens if Turkey joins European Union. They will also be part of the Schengen visa regime. That means anybody who is in Turkey will have a visa-free entry into any European nation. Imagine how much of a quadrupling or a pentupling effect that will have on the current migrant issue. Oh, the dominoes are crazy in this matter, right? Next, let's think why was US pushing Europe to spend this kind of money? One of the primary reasons for that here is it knows currently US is their best bet to supply defense equipments. So of this 800 billion euros, they are expecting at least 400 billion to be spent in US military industrial complex. All these discussions about increasing defense budgets, it is done so that that budget can be used to buy arms from me. That's one of the major reasons for US pushing NATO to do this. Now, India will also benefit from this, not in terms of high-tech equipments. No. While Europe will be focusing on developing their in-house high-tech industries, they might depend on India to provide a lot of defense equipment like artillery rounds and such. Because already during the Israel-Palestine war, India has been supplying artillery to Israel. That is a trend that we can expect to see increasing over the next couple of years. Because why would they spend their valuable capital and effort to build low-tech ammunition when they can just buy it easily from a third world country like India? They'll do that. It is going to be an economically beneficial arrangement for both countries. This is even more likely considering the European Union India free trade agreement that is being worked on right now. Now, let's step back and see what could be the larger game plan. For the last 35 years, the entire NATO has been, its defense forces have been shrinking, and US has been working as the global soldier, the global policeman. Here we have to consider one particular phrase that Donald Trump used. If somebody attacks US tomorrow, will NATO be able to help? The simple answer is no. NATO countries are not able to defend themselves. How are they ever going to be able to contribute forces to support US? This was not the case in 1991. In 1991, during Desert Storm, you had a very powerful NATO force that was created in Europe to fight the Russians, to fight the Soviets. You had that capacity. You were able to use that capacity to bring to Saudi Arabia to free up Kuwait. Right now, that capacity does not exist for NATO. NATO does not have a deterrence capacity. It is just the power of US as it is completely spread out. And now, US has an existential threat that is China. US does not have the deterrence capability against China. Even in sheer numbers, the People's Liberation Army Air Force and People Liberation Army Navy, they're numerically superior to US. They also have a larger manufacturing capacity. China can ramp up at least one warship a month. In US, it will take one warship every 2, 3 years. 2, 3 years is still good, but Europe does not have that capacity at all. So an overstretched US does not have any deterrence value against China. But let's imagine the scenario 10 years from now. A European Union which has invested heavily in its defense now has the independent military might to deter Russia, sure, but also to militarily support US. NATO does not deter anybody right now. NATO does not have any sort of respect right now. I mean, outside of US, no, zero respect. So there is no deterrence capacity for Europe today. But a militarized European Union, as part of a NATO that is triple its strength right now, that is going to hold a deterrence value against China. And that, I believe, is the larger game plan. The loss of deterrence value is seen in the world today. China can do things with impunity in South China Sea because it is not, there is no fear of retaliation for them. There's nothing for them to fear. That is going to change through this plan. And I believe that is a true game plan for which Trump and US they're changing the world political game. Now, when that day happens, when China has to be deterred, I'm sure the US president of the time will bow down before European Union, say that mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. I'm sorry for whatever Donald Trump had said. That's okay because that is a tactical victory behind a larger strategic victory of the NATO being a stronger entity. US will be absolutely be okay with that. That would fit into US narrative. So this is my thoughts on what could be the reasons behind the European Defense Union. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.